You're not supposed to flip a sebenza 21 open, right? You're not supposed to do that. And you hear that a lot. You hear people say that, oh, it doesn't matter. It's such a rock solid knife. You can flick it open. And then there's the other side of it that says, no, the Chris Reeves will void your warranty if you do excessive wrist flicking with your knife, opening it up, right? And that's not a wrist flick. That's just a thumb flick. But me doing that, right? There's a reason for it. Is they can actually tell if you've done that. They know, and the reason is this stop pin right here. There's a little sleeve that actually goes over the stop pin. You can see that flat spot right there on it. I've got a whole bunch of those little flat spots. That's not the one that the blade is actually coming into contact with right now. That's just because I've cleaned it, you know what I mean? It actually rotated that little bushing that creates that actual stop pin. And it's so soft that when I do that, when I actually flick it open like that, it is deformating that little stop pin. And so they can actually tell whether or not you've been flicking your sebenza open. Why is that softer than every other stop pin that I own? Because this this is a ZT452, right? ZT452CF. And you can see that stop pin right there has no deformations, no flat spots, and I've never taken this out and rotated it, right? Actually, yes, I have. That's a lie. I have actually taken this thing out, but there's nowhere on it does it have a flat spot. And every single time I open this thing, it slams open. I can't open this knife gingerly. I mean, I can. You can kind of flick it open more gently, but it's still slamming into that stop pin. So why is the sebenza stop pin softer? Because this is the same kind of construction. It's got that little spacer, little barrel around the actual, flat section there. And it looks like there's a little bit of deformation in there. I'm going to take this little bit of cloth and stick it in there. Try to get some of that actual gunk off the stop pin there. Let's see if it looks any better. Yeah, you can see that there. There's a little bit of a flat spot. There's a little bit of just deformation to that actual barrel, that actual stop pin there. But I slammed this knife open. Listen to that thing. And the amount of friction that this thing has, this thing is ridiculously smooth and function. And it didn't come out of box like that. It's been worked in really well over time, but I've done no modification. I haven't slicked up the washers or anything, so it's just running really, really smooth, and there's no deformation to that. And I slam this thing open. So the sebenza stop pin is actually a softer material. I don't know what it is. It might be the same 303 stainless that they use for the actual hardware themselves, and if that's the case, that's the reason that you can't wrist flick this knife open. Just an interesting little thought. And I was also thinking about, this video has no point. I just kind of wanted to talk about knives for a minute. But the milling on this, I didn't have a full appreciation for the milling that went into this Benchmade 87 right here. It's the new Balisongs for Benchmade 2017. And you can see that it starts out, all of the little flat sections here, there's a radius here on the edge. There's that radius actually coming down into the corner. And then there's that radius here that's flat, right? And they taper all the way up this handle, and you can actually see it all the way up to the top, and they join up there at the top, and it's almost perfect the whole way around. It's actually not perfect, which kind of did surprise me, but there is a little bit of variation in just the angles and how they quite meet up. It's not perfect, but it's as perfect as I don't know. You can see that there? Doesn't quite meet up. And as well, in my video, I had mentioned how these tang cups actually wrap around the tang pin itself. They close in on it, and that's just not the case. It's actually not true. I was wrong, but it looks like it, doesn't it? I actually had to get something out and feel it with a toothpick to actually figure out if that was actually going on. I definitely like that. Yeah, there's been I've got a lot of comments, and there's been a lot of concern as well with this 87 Balisong with blade rub, right? People have been complaining about the blade rub, and I actually did have a problem with that initially out of the box, but it was because the tang pins actually weren't Loctited. Once I tuned it and actually Loctited it, I did have to tune it a bit, but once I got it in place and actually did Loctite them down, there is no blade rub. If I can actually... You can see that there. I can force this thing side to side, and I have to move it quite a bit. There's quite a bit of pressure that I'm actually forcing this thing to come in contact with the side. And so when it's in place, and now that it's actually sitting correctly, there is no actual blade rub against the, you know, the inside of this handle here, but it had to be tuned. And so if you've got any blade play at all, and I'm talking any blade play, because you can see this here, it's rock solid. Both handles here are rock solid, and that's obtainable. You can actually do that with this Balisong. But if there's any blade play at all, this handle will come into contact just because it's so long. You know, you've got so much room. You can see how I'm beating it up there. You've got so much room, or yeah, so much space actually between the pivot and the end of this blade here, that it doesn't take a whole lot of movement in the pivot for just that, you know, the angle to get a lot of torsion or a lot of pressure actually up against the inside of this handle actually when it does make contact. So this Balisong is twitchy, you know. It's not bad, but I mean, slam it into the table, but it's definitely twitchy, and it's sensitive, you know. It's got to be tuned just right, or it's not gonna quite run correctly. But I definitely love it, man. I've been playing with that thing for days. And this is this one here I just got in. This is Vnives. This is the Altered Beast from Vnives. This is actually a prototype model here. So this isn't quite what the production is going to be, but it gives you a good idea on it. And I just wanted to, before I'd make a video on this thing, look at this finger choil. I've never seen a shaped finger choil before. Well, I mean, yes, I have, but I've never had a whole lot of experience with that countersunk finger choil. It's not rounded. You can see the shape of it there. It's kind of a oblong shaped finger hole, and it's smaller. It's smaller than, because I've got some beefy sized fingers, but it's smaller than what you would normally need for me to stick my finger and get a really good grip up in there. But the way that it's shaped, due to the fact that it's longer on this bottom section here, it just holds the meat and the fat in my finger really, really well. Woo! That's ridiculous. I almost dropped this damn thing on my fingers. It's beefy as shit behind the edge. I imagine the original, you know, the production models aren't going to be nearly as beefy. Again, this thing is a prototype, but it is sharp as shit. That would have gone straight through my finger if I'd have dropped it on my finger. I love this finger choil, though. Really like the way that that's done. I'm going to be doing a video on this one here in a little bit. It's the Altered Beast from Vnives. That's it. Just think about knives as well, you know. The Benchmade 51 kind of blows me away. Here's another little thing I was thinking about, right? Because this is probably the most predominant Balisong you see on the market. There are so many Benchmade 51s out there. They've been making these things for years, and it's just like the go-to Balisong. You know, it's the go-to entry level for a high-end Balisong. There's a lot of people that flip them that are excellent at flipping. I mean, professional level flippers, if that's actually a thing, that flip a 51 or a Flytanium 51 variant. And so that's just impressive as well. The Flytanium, right? There is a company that bases their business is based off of making aftermarket parts for a production Balisong. How insane is that? I mean, there's a lot of companies, you know, like gun companies making aftermarket parts for gun companies and stuff like that. But this is a freaking Balisong. It shows you the growth in the Balisong flipping industry, or the flipping community. You know, I think the internet, with as big as the internet has gotten, you know what I mean, it's just exploded, and it allows the Balisong, the flipping community, to just grow, and it's grown massively, and it's all evident in the fact that Flytanium can even exist, making a proper business off of a production knife that a different company manufactures. I just love the fact that that even can happen. Go USA, right? Y'all have a good one.